Competition. It can feel awful. Working very hard to do the best work you can, say, with an audition scene, and suddenly this queasy feeling takes over. Your inner voice is saying, I bet someone else will do this better. Or, there are probably so many other talented folks up for this, I am sure I'm not going to get it. In that split-second moment, you've become sad, defeated, or worse. What's crazy is that you haven't even auditioned yet. You've allowed imagined competition ruin your process. Now, though you think this is real intellectually, you know it is nothing but self-sabotage. The only competition you need to deal with is with yourself. That's why you need this podcast. This is really going to help. This is Casting Actors Cast.
It's time for another episode of Casting Actors Cast. Here he is, your host, Jeffrey Dreisbach.
Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of Casting Actors Cast. How are you? I'm Jeffrey Dreisbach. Welcome to this episode. This is episode 213, I think, something crazy like that. Thank you for joining us. This is that moment of the podcast where I get to say thank you for joining Casting Actors Cast. This is a place where actors come together and we have a communal sharing of all kinds of information about the business of show. As a casting director of over 12 and a half years, once a former actor of 20 years, I'm able to give you all kinds of concrete advice, suggestion, tips, hints to make your career journey as good as it can possibly be. That's why I do this. Hey, listen, if you haven't checked out the website, castingactorscast.com, I invite you to do so. Castingactorscast, all one word, .com is a place where you can find all kinds of really cool information about the podcast. You can see Jeff's Jots, which are show notes to corresponding episodes. Listen, if you fill out that form on the website that says dive into the talent pool, that's going to open up a menu of some freebies for you. One is a book that I wrote called Conversation Pieces Out of the Studio, the voiceover workshop for professional actors. That's yours free of charge, 100 pages. It's a downloadable PDF, so have at it. Oh, additionally, there is a video there called Casting Secrets, What They Don't Tell You. Come on, that's enticing enough, right? Well, guess what? I'm going to tell you in this free, private 20-minute video. So come on in, join the fun. Thousands and thousands of downloads later, here we are having a really cool time. I also would like a favor, because I'm not asking for anything. I'm just asking that you leave a like, perhaps a review, especially on iTunes. If you're getting this through iTunes, it would be so great if you could leave a review. Let other people know what's going on. And my assignment for you is to please let at least 2 or 3 other folks know that this is a podcast that might be really useful for them. I'm doing this absolutely free of charge, and I'm going to continue to do so as long as there's an audience who lets me know that they're out there listening and participating. It really does make a difference. So thank you for that. Finally, my shout out to Actors Connection. That's actorsconnection.com/New York. They're doing everything online now. So it's virtual classes, workshops, seminars, intensives, all kinds of information for professional actors or actors looking to get into the business, working with agents, managers, casting directors, all kinds of industry folks. So I invite you to check out actorsconnection.com/New York. Hello to my good friends, Tony and Colleen. Gosh, how could I blank out? Colleen is like the coolest human being on the planet. So is Tony. So please check out actorsconnection.com. So as we talk about competition, sometimes it's just a mental process that we put ourselves through. And I need to set the record straight by giving you, first and foremost, a few points to consider about competition. What you think competition is might not even exist in the way that you're thinking. First of all, let me just say this to you directly. Casting does not compare acting performances. We don't say, oh, that actor is better than that actor. That does not happen in the casting office. That does not happen when we look at your self-tape submissions. We do not compare performances. The question we are looking for, who is more right for the vision of the project? That's it. It's not better or worse. It's, does this person fulfill the requirements that I as a casting director know based on all of those meetings that I've had with the producer, the director, the artistic director of the theater? So it's not about comparing. It's just about trying to filter through that talent in formatting the vision of the project. It's really that simple. That's the question that needs to be answered. Who is righter based on the vision of the project? Have I made my point? Maybe I'm beating a dead horse there. I'm sorry about that. But it's so frustrating because as an actor, I know that competition bug would get into my system and just really do a number on my head. But I never thought about the casting side of it. What are they thinking? How do they perceive actors in the business? Let's move on from there. Rather than embrace your uniqueness, I find actors focusing on what they consider to be less than, what I'm lacking, what I don't have at my disposal. I don't have the same credits that this other actor has. I don't have the same training that this other actor has. And so we use that internal mental discussion to beat ourselves up for our lack, or more importantly, what we perceive to be our lack. And that's just tragic. Now, it's one thing for me to say it's just tragic. It's another thing to say I understand it. I understand that in any creative process, thinking about how it is affecting you and how it is affecting others, and whether or not those others can be better than you or not, that's just part of the nature of who we are as human beings. And so, rather than thinking of yourself as less than, it's important that you take a good look at that insecurity that you're bringing to yourself and what you're saying to yourself, because insecurity is allowed into your consciousness when your own creative thoughts are diminished. When you feel you're not tapping into your own creative juices, the brain, this fantastic, unbelievable organ in our bodies, has a tendency to fill those spaces with negativity many, many times, based on our life experience, based on our training, based on our background. So when your own creative thoughts get diminished in your head, that's when insecurity comes in, and that's when that competition bug self-talk starts coming into your world. Please also know this about self-talk. Negative self-talk is really a manifestation of your own self-protection. It's really interesting to me, but many times I project that kind of thought process about competition in order to protect myself from external hurt or lack of success, or what I perceive as success. I don't mean to get too esoteric here, but it's really true. It's almost like I would rather make fun of myself than to have others make fun of me. But guess what? That's doing quite a bit of damage. But that self-preservation gene, for lack of a better way to say it, seems to kick in many, many times. For what we perceive is what we are missing, what is lacking in ourselves. Also, I have to say this, that not enough effort is invested into the work process. When you do not have the time, or you do not do a very conscientious preparation on whatever you're doing as an actor, that lack of preparation always leads to illogical rationalization. You don't think clearly, and you fill the void with what you don't do in terms of preparation with that negative self-talk. So you've got to fill the vessel up, so to speak, with doing a lot of just good old-fashioned hard work on your creative choices that you are making as an actor. And finally, I just have to say this, that type of self-thinking, that type of self-destructive thinking, rather, that's just exhausting, isn't it? We just get so tired. But the reality is, and from my own experience, is if I just was able to take a breath, go back to the work, and to find and discover my own creative choices with whatever I'm doing, whether it's an audition or whether I'm working on a role, it really does kind of diminish the audio quality and the persistence of that negative self-talk. So how do we reframe that competition conspiracy of self-talk that we allow into our world? How do we refrain from listening to that competition voice in our head? So here are some suggestions that I want to make. One is to embrace the choices that you've made as an actor and understand that they are unique to your own personal experience. No one else can do you better than you do you. And so the choices you bring into the character are based on your own life experience, based on your training, based on your technique as an actor. And guess what? No two auditions are ever the same. They are never alike. So embracing the uniqueness that is you when you do you is going to feel so much more gratifying. And also it pushes away that voice of competition. I also suggest that you occupy your work with what-if scenarios in the character choices that you're making. What if I did it like this? What if my character thought this? In other words, if you challenge yourself with those what-if scenarios, whether it be you as an actor or the character that you're working on, that can really fill up that space in a very unique and healthy way. It's going to actually stimulate those competitive juices in a good way rather than having them being self-destructive. They are now an opportunity to rise to the occasion so that your uniqueness comes through. Also, I want to share this. You need to remind yourself that competition is never about being better than anybody else. Competition is about alternative choices that others make. And so, because no one else can do you, really, is there competition? The answer is no. An unequivocal no. Another thing that you can do for yourself to sort of diminish that competition bug that can be so harmful sometimes is project how you're going to feel at the end of the event and not the current emotional place that you are in. Positive projection means that you see yourself before the audition. You see yourself in the audition. You see yourself being connected. You see yourself being fun. You see yourself making really interesting, spontaneous choices. And then guess what? You think about how you're going to feel after the audition is over. You're doing all of this before you've even come into the audition, before you even started your self-tape. So positive projection about you in the room, positive projection about how you're going to feel when it's over, all of those things can help diminish that competitive bug that can really do some damage to us. Think about this. Competition, when used in a way that you say to yourself, I'm going to just simply rise to the occasion. The strength of making that choice over indulging the negative voice, that can oftentimes inspire your creative spirit and not diminish it. So when used as a tool to sabotage your efforts, competition is always going to be a painful point. That's going to be a challenge for you to overcome. I want to share with you that it doesn't have to be so damaging. It doesn't have to be that painful. Awareness will make all of the difference. So now here's what we've done. We've talked about how debilitating competition can be. We've also talked about things that you can tell yourself, things that you can do for yourself to diminish that competitive edge and think about competition in a different way. And that different way is that you are unique. Your choices are unique. Your creativity is unique to you. And no one else can sabotage that unless you let it. Reach out to me if you have a question about this. castingactorscast@gmail.com. Or go to the website, castingactorscast.com. I'm really excited and happy to tell you about our next podcast coming up. We're calling it the Network Conundrum, all about networking. You're not going to want to miss it. I will see you next time on Casting Actors Cast. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining Casting Actors Cast. Please don't forget to review, like, and share Casting Actors Cast wherever you get your podcast videos. Thanks! I'm Megan Grace Martinez.